How we doing, everyone? Welcome back to another edition of FSI's PGA DFS Pick Show. I'm your host, TK Nation 47, joined with John Cool 19, coming off of a fun Farmers Insurance Open. John, how was your week last week? Did you enjoy some Saturday night golf?
Whew, it was awesome. I will hope we do that a lot more through the swing season, and Tournament of Champions would have been better on a Saturday, in my opinion. Sony, all that. I loved it a lot, and we both had Luke List in our core, so I had some bad picks as well, but he helped me to get back to even on the week. Probably would have rather seen, just for my heart, seeing Zalatoris get the win there, but that was really cool. Great playoff, a lot of fun, and I'm glad it finished in one hole because it was dark, and I did not want to have them to have to play on Sunday morning. So that was cool. What about you? Did you enjoy it as well?
Yeah, it was a fairly middling week when it comes to, when it came to profit wise, just kind of broke even. But, hey, more, level money, sometimes better than no money. So, yeah, I enjoyed the playoff too. I mean, for a second there, I thought they were gonna, Luke List was gonna hit his ball, and I don't know what the ruling was. I mean, they were literally inches apart in the sand.
Yeah,
I've never seen that in my entire life in any tournament. It was
it's crazy.
remarkable. Yeah, I mean, hey, money wise, we need a Luke List. But heart, like you, I wouldn't have mind seeing the kid win, but he's gonna be there from time in, and time out again. And we'll be
Yeah,
talking about Will Zalatoris plenty of times this year. To see Luke List, a long journeyman, finally come away with a victory was really cool to see. And hey, what
definitely.
better place than Farmers Insurance? I mean, that's gonna lock in that PGA Tour card. It's gonna lock in the Masters. He's gonna be everywhere now. So
Good
get
for
used to
him.
Luke List, going forward. But here we are. We're still in California. We're playing the AT&T Pebble Beach Pro-Am this week. It is another 3-course event, just like we saw at the MX. John, just give us a little bit of a breakdown of what to expect with the course and how our week is going to play out this week.
Sure. So I don't want to get into all of the stats just because, like you said, with the 3 courses, things do vary a bit. But in general, this is a club down type of course. Big drivers aren't necessarily getting any advantage here. And really, drive accuracy isn't necessarily like some super important either because the fairways they're just huge. So, I mean, everyone's going to hit the fairway here, and playing from left, right, center isn't necessarily a huge advantage. But really, I think course history is a little more important this week. Having guys who have been around this track quite a few times is helpful. But the greens here are the big thing. They are tiny, some of the smallest on tour. So we're going to see a lot of missed greens. That leads us to putting around the greens in our models quite a bit more this week.
Yeah.
Approach is going to be critical. So those are kind of the major factors. I am definitely looking at par 5 scoring this week. There's a few holes that are like almost 5% eagle rate. So you got to make birdie on those holes. Eagle's even better than that. And then I like on these events looking at whether you look at like a 54-hole cut or really just other Pro-Am events and looking at guys who excel there, because these 6-hour rounds are just brutal for some golfers. Some guys absolutely hate it. They'll play this event once or twice and then just never come back. And then you see guys that play this every single year, like a Pat Perez. He's played this event like 16 times or something silly. Streelman is another one. He just plays every single year, and they love it. They don't even have to be great, although those two guys have had some success. But that's another thing I'm really looking at this week to give myself an advantage over just looking at the stat modeling. They're all 2 par 72s, 1 par 71. If you're looking at Showdown, I'm stacking up 6 out of 6 golfers on Monterey Peninsula. That is going to be the easiest course. It's like close to 2 strokes, maybe even just over 2 strokes better or easier than the other 2 courses. So that's kind of the major factors here. Wind, shots gained in windy conditions, important this week as well. And then POA grass putting. These are difficult POA greens. It is quite a bit different than the Bermuda that a lot of guys specialize in. So I am factoring that up a little bit more than I normally would for putting on any given week.
Yeah, John, we are right in line with where we are with this tournament this week. Definitely on board with the 6-6 for the Monterey. We see that every year. That course just is a blitz fest. It is a par 71, like you mentioned. So we do lose that extra par 5 that the other 2 courses have, but the par 4 scoring is easier. I even believe the par 3s are easier. It's not as, coastal as the Pebble Beach. So if the wind is up, you want to desperately avoid Pebble Beach at all costs in Showdown. But
Yeah.
when it comes to wind and rotation and trying to find the optimal strategy as far as cut making, I suggest you guys join our Discord. You can find that on our website, fsidfs.com, or you can find that link in our bio on our Twitter handle at FSI_DFS. All right, guys, enough talk. Let's get into the picks here. Let's talk about our favorite golfers of the week. I'm going to talk to you about Jordan Spieth, Mr. Course history here at this course, won it in 2017. He also has 5 top 5s to his name, especially in top 10s, in back-to-back years. Yeah, he missed his first full cut last week at the Farmers Insurance Open. Thankfully, we were not on him. But hey, I mean, the last 2 missed cuts he's had in his last year is at the Farmers. So don't take him at the Farmers and play him everywhere else. And I think this is last year where he picked up steam and really started to hit that stretch, was here at the AT&T Pebble Beach Pro-Am. This is a place I always play him. He's really great around the greens. You're going to see that constant theme in all of my picks. He's, like I said, great short game around the greens. Heck, he's won tournaments out of the sand, making putts. This is what he does. The approach is down, so I'm really going to rely on that around the green play from Jordan Spieth. I think he can get it done.
Sure.
Find his form, and I think the best part about this play is it's going to be low owned. I think everyone's going to see the recent form Spieth's in from Century, even at the Hero where he finished at last. All that's going to be on the game logs. So people, I think, are going to avoid Spieth, and I think that's a problem. When it comes down to it, they're going to say, hey, he's a great GPP play. Well, they're still not going to play him, because they're just going to be scared of what they've seen recently from Spieth. So this is where I think it's a great spot to jump on in GPPs. I don't consider it a cash play. If you play them in cash, understand there comes with risk that there might be something deeper in that form.
Right.
But I think with the course history, it's there, and I think it's a perfect play for GPPs. Your thoughts on Spieth, and who is your favorite play of the week?
Yeah, I'm with you there on Spieth. I think the form definitely ticks down his ownership. And then just looking with the Will Zalatoris news, Will Zalatoris has withdrawn from this event due to COVID reasons. I think what's going to happen here, he was going to be popular. I think that spreads out ownership quite a bit. And but I think more people are going to end up on Berger, end up on Day, and really even Cantlay and the other guys right there. So I think you're right. Jordan Spieth probably the lowest owned in that range. So you're going to get that leverage against the field. I like it. For me, Daniel Berger just rates out too well to ignore here. He hasn't had a miscut since the Masters of last year, so I like that form. He's been excellent. He did win this event last year, 2020 as well. But really over the course of the last year or so, he's got 5 top 10s in his last 10 events. He was 20th last week, so the recent form is there. The one injury, there's potentially an injury concern. He was kind of wincing his back a little bit last week. I'm hopeful that maybe people get off of him a little bit, having heard that news or seen his round. I know he was like in the feature group when this happened. That it is concerning, but at the same time, I think he's the type of guy, he would have just hung it up and withdrawn from this event and moved on somewhere else if it was really going to bother him in his practice round yesterday or today, I should say. So I'm not super concerned there. What I like here is the stat model just loves him. He's number 1 in this field on approach, 3rd ball striking, 22nd around the greens, factoring in good drives gained this week kind of as a better stat to look at versus drive accuracy. That's a combination greens and regulation and that drive accuracy. So he's 4th in good drives gained, 10th in scrambling. I really like everything about Daniel Berger here. And just, the course form, the course history here is fantastic. He's finished 10th, 5th, and then he won. So I know he's no Jordan Spieth as far as the number of years and number of top finishes, but hasn't finished worse than 10th in this event. I like that a lot. He's certainly somebody to consider in one and done as well. I don't know if you can get up to him in cash, but a great GPP play.
Yeah, absolutely. Daniel Berger's definitely going to be a part of the lineups this week. I think, he makes for a very strong play in cash or GPPs. I'm not too concerned with the injury. He did play the next, full day, the next day, without any concerns, no more wincing or anything like that. Just
he finished 20th.
Like he might have just, hit too much ground and kind of had a stinger going or something. So
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think there's much to it. Moving on to the value range. I'm going to kick us off with my favorite plays here. I wanted to talk about Mito Pereira, 8,300, 40-1. I think that's actually a pretty good number. But this is his debut at Pebble Beach. So I think betting on him outright is kind of risky. Maybe it's a solid, each way you can maybe make for a top 5. But we have seen guys like, McNealy come in and play extremely well their first time out. Although he's more of a local guy. I think that's kind of a,
Right.
outlier. But I really think Mito sets up really well for this kind of course. He's got that short game that you're looking for. He's 10th off the tee, 12th on approach. We know he's a good ball striker, but he's really good with the wedges, and he avoids bogeys. I think he was 25th from 100 to 125 on wedge play. I really looked a lot into proximities from 100 to 125, 125 to 150. There's a lot of short holes, short courses, so there's a lot of short wedge shots. Mito graded out really well with those with those wedges, and second in opportunities gained. So not afraid to make one from off the green. Opportunities gained is a stat that we use at Fantasy National for just off the fringe or just around the green, short chip shots. Mito plays really well in that style. He's in some good form. He gained 3.7 on the approach at the Farmers. And his putting has been lights out. 4.1 at Houston back in, I believe, November. 5.5 at the RSM the following week, and 3.6 putting at the Farmers. And his best putting surface, POA. So why not roll out Mito Pereira this week? I think he makes for a strong cash play. And next play is Andrew Putnam at 7,600. This is a guy I play here every time out. 80-1. I'm not really interested in the betting, but hey, if you were to say 100-1, I might have given it a shot. But definitely a long shot if you want to sprinkle a couple of bucks, but not for me. I don't mind Putnam. He's in good form. 17th on the approach, 19th on par 5s, and 19th from that 125 to 150 wedge, and 12th from 100 to 125. Just really elite with the wedges. He gained 3.9 on the approach at the Amex. Kind of a good correlation between the two tournaments. 3 courses. He does have 2 of 4 cuts made here, 55th and 38th in back-to-back years. I think that's strong. Just to see some made cuts, and I think he might be trending in the right direction. 14th at the Amex and 27th at the Sony. Maybe we see a top 10 here. That's what I'm hoping for with a great POA putter, Andrew Putnam. Your thoughts on those 2 plays and your favorite values of the week?
Yeah, both of these guys pop for me. Mito especially. I think he's number 1 ball striking over the last 36 rounds in this field, so I like that a ton. Both guys are definitely going to be in my pool, and Mito's somebody I'm probably going to be targeting in cash in my cash lineup this week. So I like both of those quite a bit. For me, though, I went with a couple guys with a little more experience than that. Matt Kuchar, first of all, 7,600. He is 60-1 outright. Yeah, Matt Kuchar is kind of an old man, and he had a pretty tough year last year. But if you look at the game logs, just kind of looking at his more recent, how he finished up the swing season, he played really good. So he's made 7 out of his last 8 cuts. He was 7th at the Sony Open a couple of weeks ago. And then during that swing season, he made 4 out of 4 cuts. And all of those were top 40 finishes. But I like the course history here. He's played here 9 times. His best was in 2007. I know that's a long time ago. He was 6th place, but more recently he was 22nd place in 19, 38th place in 2020. So I like that quite a bit. And kind of what you mentioned here around the greens, he is number 1 in his last 36 rounds around the greens. So he is excellent there. 4th in scrambling, 39th tee to green. And then the biggest thing probably for me is the POA putting. He comes up 7th over the last 75 rounds putting on POA grass greens. I think he is an excellent cash option for me this week. I don't know where the ownership's going to end up on Cooch here, but I will take him quite a bit in my lineups and not regret it, hopefully. But second guy here, Ches Reavie, another guy who's been around for quite a while. Ches has made 4 out of his last 5 cuts as well. The form is there. He was 70th last week. He did have just a rough weekend though. But if you look into the stats a little more, he was gaining on approach. And that is of the utmost importance here. So I am looking at that. He's played this event 11 times. So between him and Kutcher, that's 20 Pro-Ams for these two guys. I like it a lot. He was runner-up in 2018, 16th place at this event last year, and he has made 5 out of his last 6 cuts playing this event. He's above average POA putting, rates out really, really well on short courses, and also in those kind of 54-hole cut events like the Amex. So he does enjoy himself some Pro-Am tournaments. 4th on approach in this field. I like that a ton with Chez Reavie. He's known as an irons guy. And 1st in this field for good drives gained. So a lot going for both of these two. I could see both of them potentially in my cash lineup this week. I think you're getting great value. Any thoughts on these two veterans? I don't like calling them old. They're veterans.
Yeah, I always play Kuchar at AT&T Pebble Beach, and I don't mind Reavie. This is usually the Reavie time of year.
Yeah.
I don't mind playing them at like the Sony and here at Pebble Beach. And then even next week at the Waste Management Open, I've
Sure.
played Reavie a few times there too. So I always like to play a little Chez at this time of year on the California swing. Yeah, like you said, the irons are in form right now with Chez. So I really saw that jump off the model too. Let's just hope he has a lot of familiarity with these greens and he can putt as well as, he can putt, because
Sure.
the putter has been god awful of late. But like you said, he's got a lot of history here, and I think he can make for a really strong play. Okay, talk about some guys that you may not know about or may not be looking at. I'm going to start us off with the sleeper slide here. Peter Malnati at 6,800, 300 to 1. The thing about the Pebble Beach is Dustin Johnson will storm the field, Daniel Berger will win, or Ted Potter Jr. is going to come away a victor. That is the kind of MO here for this tournament, is anyone can win. We've seen tons of long shots over the years win these tournaments at Pebble Beach. And what if Peter Malnati does it? You never know. 300 to 1. Hey, I think Potter Jr. was 400 to 1 or something, tournament odds. So you never know. A great wedge player. He finished 11th here in 2020. He has this like cycle going where it's miscut, top 30, miscut, top 30, miscut, top 30. Last year, I should say, it was a missed cut. So let's hope top 30 is coming into play for Peter Malnati. He is fresh off of a 25th place finish at the Farmers, where he gained 3.7 on the around the green. His best putter is the POA putter. And hey, why not 6th from 100 to 125 and 35th from 125 to 150. So like I said, the wedge play is there for Peter Malnati and around the greens. And sometimes all you really need is a guy that can specialize in one thing to be able to be good at a tournament. So as long as he can make some putts, make those wedges, and score on some par fives, Malnati's going to be just fine in your lineups. Your thoughts on him, and who is your sleeper of the week?
Yeah, as I was putting this together, Malnati popped off at the 300 to 1 over on DraftKings. That is where we always put our pricing, DraftKings Sportsbook, on these slides. But I compare with some of the other books just to get an idea if DraftKings is potentially off on somebody. They're off on Malnati. I've got him down at 150 to 1 over on Bovada. I think the 300 to 1 is just kind of crazy high. That's a huge gap in the pricing here on DraftKings Daily Fantasy versus on the DraftKings Sportsbook. Those two prices do not match up. That makes no sense to me. So if you're looking at like a top 20 bet or something, Malnati, you're getting some extra juice there on DraftKings versus playing some other sportsbook this week. So pay attention there. I like that. For me, Mark Hubbard, he just popped off the charts like crazy for me this week. When I built my model, he was the very first guy that I noticed that I should be playing in the 6K range. He's actually number 7 overall in my model as I have it right now. He's really good in windy conditions. He finished 2020 very strong with 7 made cuts, but then he did have both of his events in 2022. He's missed the cut. I'm not super concerned about that here. He's played this event 5 times. He's made the cut 3 of those. He was 55th last year. He was 26th back in 2016. So he's got some course history. It's not awesome. I'm not expecting maybe like a top 10 out of him, but I really think he can make the cut and make a good run, maybe top 20 or so this week. He is ranks 20th on approach, 23rd, good drives gained, and he is excellent on the par fives. He ranks 5th in this field on that. I like Mark Hubbard this week. He's not a guy that I play very often, but I'm going to find myself picking him quite a bit. And this to me, this sleepers he was the first pick, but after that, there's a bunch of guys I like in the 6K range. I think this week I'm going to pepper all kinds of guys down there that I can get overweight on the ownership. There's just a lot of guys to like. And like you said, it could easily be just about anyone in this field. My player pool is way too big at the moment. So I'm going to be whittling that down based on ownership. So I can play a ton of these guys that I like down here and probably play quite a bit of stars and scrubs and see how it goes from there.
Yeah. So sounds like a lot of can't lay BERGER in your lineups. Well, don't forget to put
probably
a little bit of low owned SPIETH in there, and maybe you might find yourself at the top this week, hopefully. All right, guys, moving on to one of my favorite slides. We have the one and done slide here. Maverick McNealy is going to be my pick. I would say it would be a loss to take Xander Schauffele last week and only get a 34th place finish from him. Hey, I made the cut, but I don't know. It felt like I was left wanting more with Xander. Maybe he has a bad year and the 34th doesn't bite me, but I have a feeling somebody's going to spike a better performance from him somewhere down the line. Hopefully, this guy, Maverick McNealy, trending in the right direction. As you mentioned earlier, BERGER went from 10th to 5th to winning this event. Well, Maverick McNealy in the 2 starts he's had, he's finished inside the top 10 in both events, including a runner-up last year. So hopefully, if trends continue, Maverick McNealy finds himself in the winner's circle. 689th. This is the best I've done in this, short 2-year period, and hopefully a win can keep me near the top. Who is your play this week?
Yeah, I like Justin Rose here. I thought a bit about BERGER. I think I'm going to save him for another event or two I kind of have in mind later on. Justin Rose, I don't necessarily see any other courses where he's just going to pop off the charts unless he really starts getting hot. Then he's going to be super popular. After he pulls a second or third this week, he'll just be uber popular next week, and I will be ahead of the field on that. I took the big L with Finau last week, unfortunately. But I think a whole lot of people did. He was like the first or second highest owned golfer on Fantasy National. So I'm not too upset about that. I think Justin gives me a good edge this week. I'm going to be probably playing him in a lot of GPPs as well. I like how he sets up for this course. He's got good course history as well. You alluded to it just a little bit. There is a trend at this course. It's not every single year, but the vast majority of winners the last 10, 15 years, they've had a top 15 finish in one of their previous couple starts. So looking at guys who in the last few times they played here, played really well. At least one of those times, Justin Rose does fit the bill that here. So I certainly could see him winning. Maverick McNealy, I would love for him to win too. We've been playing him every chance we've had for many months. So I'd be really happy for him. But for my one and done, I am going Justin Rose.
Awesome. Yeah, looking forward to Pebble Beach this week. It should be a fun tournament. Hopefully we don't get the corpse of Clint Eastwood staring at us on Saturday during the broadcast. This is absolutely one of the worst broadcasts of the year, in my opinion. The 6-hour sideshow. I mean, when you're trying to cap a tournament in either bet it or pay attention to showdown moments or anything like that, it's hard when you get half golf shots and then half what's going on at the beach. So
sure. Hopefully that ESPN coverage kind of fills that gap a little bit. From what I've seen so far, it's been doing really been putting out a better product than we've seen over the last few years. So I'm super stoked on that maybe that'll be a good jump for PGA this year.
I honestly think I might do just all ESPN Plus the whole weekend until it comes down to it on Sunday.
Sure.
Where I'm just watching a featured group or something like that. But yeah, the ESPN Plus stuff has been really great, especially during work.
Yeah.
All right, guys, that'll wrap things up for this week for the Pebble Beach. Hopefully you enjoy this event. And if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, please comment below on this video. Please like and subscribe our channel, Fantasy Sports Insight. You can follow me on Twitter at TKNation47. That is John Cool 19. John, thank you for your insights this evening and have a wonderful week.
Sweet. Good luck.
Yep.